Well, folks, we have seen the last of a babbling old buffoon in Joe Biden on any presidential debate stage. On Thursday, the dementia-ridden Democratic nominee continued to deceive the American people into thinking that he and his 47 years of do-nothing, done-nothing policies is just what our country needs to combat COVID-19 and corruption. Today, I break down all the political pandering and ramblings of an old, confused Uncle Joe, who tripped over his tongue nonstop and blatantly lied to the American people about his past and future policies that he and the liberal machine have planned for our nation. This is Eric Wright, and you are listening to the Closet Conservative Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden did a masterful job during Thursday's debate. If you consider outright lying to the millions of Americans a job well done. The debate was moderated by NBC member Kristen Welker, and for anyone who may have missed it, like her liberal friends before her, she made it her mission to show her favoritism and continually attempted to interrupt Trump. 111 times, in fact, compared to only 22 of Joe Biden. But we're all used to the blatant disregard of journalistic favoritism against our nation's president and for old Joe over the last year. You could almost see Kristen Welker running interference when Biden was nearing a stumbling block. But no matter how hard Welker tried, she couldn't stop Joe Biden from dooming himself and all of his Democratic defamation. His past and present actions have finally come to roost. The question is, will Americans care and pay attention? What's more, is all of this information and recent revelations concerning Biden and the millions he made off of his son Hunter and the backs of foreign companies too little too late? After all, nearly 45 million people, more than one-third of voters, have already cast their ballots for the 2020 election. Which brings me to this point. I hate early voting. And why? Because a lot can happen in a month. An October surprise in any election. Take, for example, in my home state of North Carolina, where Democratic U.S. Senate candidate Cal Cunningham has been outed for having numerous extramarital affairs, including with one woman who is married to a fellow American serviceman. And since the story broke, Cunningham has since apologized briefly and only once, and has never mentioned or answered any additional questions concerning the matter. This information concerning Cal was revealed just as early voting got underway in the state of North Carolina. The same for Joe Biden, who has evidence against him that proves that he and his son and other family members have profited richly with offshore business dealings while the old man, the big guy, was serving under Obama as vice president. Of course, like clockwork, the liberal mainstream media has refused to give any airtime to this story, and when they do, they, like Biden did on Thursday, continually claim that this is nothing more and more and more of Russian meddling in our election process. Folks, I don't know about you, but I've heard this Russian hoax story enough that my son's grandchildren will feel my pain. I'm beginning to think that Russia and global warming is the reason for all of the wrongs in this world. Well, that is, of course, if you ask any Democrat. So, what are some of Biden's blatant lies on Thursday? Well, for starters, he claimed that no one lost their insurance under Obamacare. Well, of course they did. And in fact, millions of Americans did. And in my home state, yet again, of North Carolina, Obamacare drove out competition within the country and left only Obamacare and Blue Cross and Blue Shield as the only two policy providers available in my Tar Heel state. For me, and thousands of others in my state, on December the 31st of 2017, we lost our right to choose, to seek alternatives in a competitive market for healthcare freely. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what Joe Biden looks to bring about again for all Americans if elected. During the debate, President Trump said that Joe Biden is for socialistic healthcare, democratically described and designed as a public option. Folks, that government healthcare, that is communist assistance. and a mandate that will leave millions uninsured or underinsured and will most assuredly remove them from a policy that they like and a doctor that they love. Stop me if you've heard this one before. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. But Joe Biden did elude among all of his pathetic political bumblings when he said people deserve to have affordable health care. Period. 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 It's going to cost some money. But what he conveniently leaves out is just how much money will it cost. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't know because he doesn't know. NASA and SpaceX haven't even begun to invent calculators that can compute such a figure. And the old saying goes, there is no such thing as a free lunch. Another lie told by Liberal Joe was that he never said that he would get rid of fracking. And there's at least a half a dozen recordings and televised interviews whereby Joe says he will indeed end fracking and in turn declare war against the oil and gas industries, putting millions and millions of Americans out of work to be replaced by the Green New Deal that he doesn't support but promotes on his website. But the biggest lie of all is when he said that he has never taken a dime from another country. Well, of course he has. That's why Hunter told his daughter he had to kick back 50% to the big guy. Unless, of course, he isn't the big guy. All this is going down the tubes because Crackerhead Hunter couldn't be bothered to pay $85 to the laptop repair store. But ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden ended his last presidential hopeful debate by asking the American people to compare him and Donald Trump. That people know him and what he's about. And you know what? He's right. The American people have had nearly 50 years to learn and see what Joe Biden is all about. And here's the summation. Joe Biden is a nothing, a political nobody, who has failed miserably in his past presidential runs because, well, he's Joe Biden and has done nothing of substance for anyone in this country. For nearly half a century, ladies and gentlemen, he and his swamp mates have destroyed our country, economically, financially, and internationally. Under a Biden administration, our nation will be weaker, our economy will be in ruins, and our citizens will forever be indebted and dependent on the government for everyday life. Joe Biden has done nothing in 47 years in office. Why in the hell would we give him another 4? Our nation demands and deserves better than a washed-up, out-of-touch, out-of-mind Democrat. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden was right. The choice is clear. Make your stand, make your mark, and keep your freedom. Please cast your vote for continued conservatism in our country. This is Eric Wright, and you've been listening to the Closet Conservative Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast. Please remember to give a 5-star review and share our podcast with your friends. The Closet Conservative Podcast is a production of the Liberty Loft. Copyright The Liberty Loft, 2020. You can find more shows and information on our website, www.thelibertyloft.com, or any of our social media channels.